Right, good afternoon everybody. Thank you very much indeed for coming to this lovely old hotel to publicise another big boxing show in Scotland. Queensbury Promotions, Frank Warren, with also NTK Global and a top rank involvement at the SSE Hydro on May the 2nd, and it is a homecoming fight for one of the outstanding boxers in British boxing today, and his new trainer has already joined us up here, Ben Davison, and now let's welcome Josh Taylor. We have an outstanding undercard, but it's the World Super Lightweight Unified title. Josh Taylor's going to be fighting Apinun Khongsong, the mandatory challenger with the IBF, who owns the IBF Pan-Pacific and Asian titles as well, and exactly the same as Josh, is undefeated in 16 professional fights. Obviously, he's not had the high-profile fights that Josh has, but I'm sure when we come to talk about that fight specifically, Josh will say, I imagine, that you always respect somebody who's got an undefeated record, irrespective of what you've been in against or who you've been in against. He's got himself into the mandatory challenger position. So two undefeated fighters, you just never know. And sometimes those fights can turn out to be very much tougher than people in the run-up to these contests sometimes imagine. Well, we have a stacked undercard and a very good matchup which has already been made, and the two lads sitting in front of me to my bottom left, Stephen Donnelly across from Belfast against Darlington's Troy Williamson. Again, undefeated fighters, and Troy, on the face of it, may have a little bit more experience and could well be starting the favourite, but I'm absolutely certain that Stephen has come across here and is relishing the opportunity of an opportunity to shine in a fight which on paper looks a very level contest indeed. Sonny Edwards, one of our outstanding little fighters, flyweight, super flyweight, brilliant fighter, and always a pleasure to see him in action. And there is a little enlarged show right in front of me because the return to ring action for the first time since losing his undefeated record. Great to see Nathan Gorman back in action. The undefeated Willie Hutchinson, who lives just down the road in Lanark. It would be nice for him and his supporters to be fighting locally, I'm sure. And Lee McGregor, likewise, Scottish fighter here, is going to have a big support base. So let's hear from some of the guys now. I think we'll probably start off with Big Nathan. Back in a boxing ring for the first time since, last July, Nathan? You must be delighted to have the opportunity to be back doing what you enjoy.
Yeah, definitely, John. It's been a long time coming. You know, obviously when I boxed in May the 2nd, it'll be 10 months I'll be out of the ring, so it'd be good to get back under the lights, you know, on such a big show like this. Obviously, Josh made his defence of the world titles in Glasgow, so it's good to be on such a big card. And hopefully, you know, I'll get a good fight and just dust off the cobwebs and back into the mix really this year. That's the idea. How much does it hurt psychologically to lose that O on your record and Daniel Dubois taking the big, well, what was built up as a grudge match? Yeah, obviously, listen, it was a bitter pill to swallow. If you ask any of these lads on these tables to lose Joe, it's something not nice, you know what I mean? But it's one of them things. I've taken an experience, you know, I'm 23 years of age. It's not like I'm killed with age, you know, 34, 36. In heavyweight terms, I'm a baby, so as long as I took this experience and just move forward, that's really the aim.
What are the sort of fights that you'd look for now then to get yourself back into the reckoning? You're going to be looking at the resume of people like Joe Joyce and Daniel Dubois, looking at some of the guys there and maybe looking to make those fights?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I've said previously, you know, I don't want a 6-rounder, you know, knockover job, because that's really going to prove nothing. Ideally, I want someone who the people know, you know, who the people's heard of or watched, And a tough test, you know, to get back in the ring, like I said before, brush the cobwebs off and move forward.
Still only 23, I mean, you've got bags of time, haven't you?
Yeah, loads of time.
And I know you're going to have eyes on May the 2nd yourself, but I'm sure you're going to be also keeping a bit of an eye on that big one coming up at the O2 in April, which is Daniel Dubois against Joe Joyce.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that one?
Personally, I think it's a 50-50 one. I think under 6, I would favour Daniel. Over 6, I think Joyce's work rate, you know, and obviously he's experienced what he's gained, and the fighters he's fought, you know, through the amateurs, right through the pro ranks, could take his tell, you know, his work rate could overcome Daniel over 6, but if I had to put my last pound coin, I'd put it on Joe.
He's, you'd put it on Joe?
Yeah, I'd put it on Joe. My last pound coin, I'd back Joe.
Well, you perhaps ought to be looking at the fact that he's the outsider in that, so
I know,
he can still get 5 to 2, 11 to 4.
Don't get me wrong, I think it's a 50-50, like I said before. Under 6, Daniel. Over 6, Joe. But personally, my last pound coin, I'd put it on Joe Joyce.
Okay. Well, that's a little line which will probably be repeating in the run-up to that big fight. But great to see you back, Nathan.
Thanks, John.
Sonny Edwards, alongside you, who hasn't got an opponent as yet. Croydon lad based in Sheffield. Showtime Sonny, and looking forward to being on a big bill, I'm sure, on the bill with a fighter topping the bill. I'm sure as a student of the sport, you admire what he's done.
Yeah, I mean, Josh, first and foremost, is a phenomenal fighter. He has been since the amateur days, and like someone I know personally, I'm like proud and to say I know him and what he achieved. I was there when he beat Progress, and that was a great night. And I was there when he beat Baranchik as well, because Lee was on the...
That's when he won the title.
Yeah, and I mean, I was quite surprised when I got offered the fight on this card up in Glasgow on this day. Pleasantly surprised as well when I was sent the other fighters on the list. I mean, everyone up here that sat here, except Stephen Donnelly, because obviously being from Ireland, was on Team GB at some point. Most of them I was on at the same time with, if not Boxer England with, etc. So it just shows like the strength and depth that we actually have in this country. And to add to that, I want to say a big, well done to both Stephen and Troy for that fight. I mean, I've been speaking to Troy for the last 2 weeks, trying to get him to force Joe Mafosa in the ring with me, to no avail as of yet, but and he didn't mention this fight, which I think was a bit tight, Troy. But then when it came out yesterday, I was really shocked, pleasantly shocked, and that's a great fight, first and foremost. And then also to be on the same card as my stablemate Lee, that's a big thing. I mean, I've come up to Glasgow I think 3 times in the last however many months to watch him on fight week and support him. And it's just great, all these fighters I'm here on this card have taken risks early, taken opportunities early, and they all deserve to be where they're sitting. I'm trying to get, the sort of big meaningful fights. Nearly perhaps got a world title shot, nearly sneaked in as the number 4 at WBO. Didn't happen because the number 3 got it. So we go back to the drawing board, but I've worked so hard to get the British title in my possession, and now I want to win it outright. I'm not trying to give it back. I had Robert Smith on the board on the phone the other day trying to get me to send it back. It's still in my trophy cabinet. I'm not looking to give it back anytime soon. But this is just a message really, like all the fighters on these sort of cards and on these tables are here because they've taken the risk when they didn't need to. People feel sorry for themselves, other boxers are away from the big shows and the big lights, they feel sorry for themselves, they ask themselves why they're not here. And it's simple, they don't take the risks, they don't take the opponents, they don't take the fights. I mean, I've heard recently people not taking fights because they think someone might be a bit too rough inside. I mean, what's that? Like, it's actually, I'm in a frustrated place right now, as you can probably tell. But it's really just a message out for all the people, flyweight, super flyweights, whoever wants to fight. Your Joe Mafosas, Tommy Franques, Academies, all of these. I'm trying to defend and win this British title outright. And if these opportunities aren't seized by these fighters that are at the moment fighting on, small shows, YouTube shows, away from the cameras, if the opportunities aren't taken now when I'm trying to give them out to people, because obviously it's in my benefit to do so, that if I do get to that level of the world titles, then opportunities won't come around again. Like, I won't be offering these people fights just for old time's sake, or it might be a good story, because I'll be way past them then. And like I said, yeah, it's frustrating that I haven't got an opponent named. I mean, we've been trying to get people in the ring, even after a very, very subpar performance in my last one. Not making no excuses. There's probably reasons why I shouldn't have been in the ring in my last fight, but I worked so hard to get to this point. I won't let nothing take it away, and the calculated risk paid off.
Well, I'm sure you'll be looking to be at your best on May the 2nd, and hopefully they'll get you the sort of opponent that you're looking for. But before, just from a professional perspective, before we move on to the two guys alongside you who are going to be thinking primarily about each other, I'm sure. But from a boxer's perspective, just tell people here what made Josh's performance in his last fight so special, because it was clearly one of the fights of the year, if not the fight of the year. But just how good was he?
It was a fantastic night, and I was lucky, like I said, to be ringside. The fact that it was the number one, number two, the fact that it was the final of the prestigious WSB, World Boxing Super Series, and the fact that it had so much drama in it. I mean, I think Regis started off quite well and nicked a couple of early rounds, but wow, Josh Taylor's engine, his tenacity, the fact that he was not leaving that ring without dying on his shield, and you could see that, and the heart that he took in there with him. Like, you can't teach that, you can't learn that. And for me, that was the main thing, the raw emotion, the close scorecard, everything. It was just great. It was like, you don't really see that all too often. And Josh has been taking risks from early, man. Look when he fought Victor Postel, even O'Hara Davies at the time. He's been taking them big fights from early, and he's got the just desserts, and he, rightfully so, is sitting as arguably one of the best fighters in Britain right now. And he's had, 16 fights? 16. Yeah, you don't need to build up 300-0 against journeyman and easy international opponents. You don't need to do that, man. If you're the real deal, it's gonna come out in the performances, and it's as simple as that.
Thanks for that, and we look forward to seeing you in action, and I'm sure that most people will be echoing those sorts of sentiments for Josh and what he had achieved in his last fight. Now, let's move on to this one, which both lads have said they can see this as an even fight. Likewise myself. It's one which they both stand to lose something, but if they can actually get the result here, it means a heck of a lot. Start with the man across from Belfast. Stephen, what are your thoughts on this fight? Because Troy has got the experience.
He does. He has a great record, 14 wins. I think he's maybe 11 KOs, so you have to respect that. I know he has some power, but it's up to me. I know I believe in my boxing ability, and I think that's what will pay off in this fight. But as I said, it's a great fan-friendly fight. Everyone's excited for it when it was announced yesterday. So this is what I live for. This is what I've been asking MTK for from when I would have my first few pro fights. I've been calling out for big fights. That's what I'm in this game for. And as Sonny said, there's no point in fighting journeyman your whole career. So this is the one. This is the make with me. I believe that. And after this fight, every fight after that's massive. So you have to take risks. You'll get no rewards, and that's what I've done.
What makes you think that you've got what it takes to win this?
I just believe in the boxing ability. We're all fought, as an amateur, I fought the best in the world. I was at the Olympic Games, we lost in the quarter-final on a split decision to the world champion, so that says it on its own of my great amateur career. So I just know I have the talent from a young boy going into the boxing club to where I've got to now. That explains it all, and it's the same for Troy as well. He's done the same, so just have to respect each other, and may the best man win in the night, because it's certainly going to be a fan-friendly fight, and I can't wait for it.
You've got a warm-up fight as well, no mistakes in that one?
No, that's true. I have to get through this on Saturday night first, so hopefully I'll come out of that with no cuts and stuff, and the rounds are well needed as well. The last time I fought was September in the Ultimate Boxer. It was 3 fights in the one night, right enough, but I've been inactive since then, but I've been away in Poland sparring there recently. Just 2 weeks ago I was over sparring top middleweight, so I got the rounds in over there, and then I just got a late call out for this fight at the weekend here, so that'll set me up perfect, and then I'll go straight into an intensive 8-week camp for Troy.
How highly do you rate Troy as a puncher? Because is it Troy last 6 now inside the distance, I think?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, no, I know he's a puncher. I know I have to be aware of his power, but that's up to me to avoid that. The way, as I say, you have to respect that record, and I'll work and stuff in camp and I'll know what to do, and I've been in with big punchers before and it won't be a problem to me.
Troy, you must know a bit about Stephen and the fact that you've got this succession of stoppage wins now. Things have been going your way of late.
Yeah, Stephen's a great fighter. Like I say, he's been to 3 Commonwealth Games at amateur at 3 different weights. And he obviously qualified for Rio through the WSP, which isn't easy. So, like I say, he's got the boxing ability there, and it's gonna be a great fight, like you said.
Do you worry about his boxing ability? Is it as simple as that? The boxer against somebody with the equaliser?
No, I don't worry about that. Obviously, I can box myself. I've been with some of the world-class amateurs myself. The Olympic champion, the world champion at the time, Alan Lopez. So, like you say, it's not a 3-round amateur fight. It's a 10-rounder. So you can be as good as an amateur as you like. Obviously, professionals, it's a different game. Obviously, there's a lot of respect there for Stephen. Obviously, he's a great fighter, but on the night, obviously, I'm going to show that I'm the better fighter.
You had a good win on Friday night in Newcastle, I'm told. Beat Daniel Urbanski. He'd never been stopped before, and you did him in 2 rounds.
Yeah, he was a tough opponent. The fight was agreed at 11 stone 4, and he coming at 12 stone 1. So obviously that pissed me off a little bit. And I put out on social media saying that I was gonna give him a beating for that, and obviously that's exactly what I did.
What's the key then between you and Stephen? What's going to determine who comes out of this as a winner?
All I need to focus on is just getting myself 110% ready, which I always do. I'll be the fittest and in the best shape of my career, because obviously it's a step up, and it's going to be the biggest fight of my career. So I'll make sure that I'm 110% ready, and may the best man win, like you said.
Biggest fight of Troy's career in his eyes. Are you looking at it the same way, Stephen?
Yeah, of course, this is by far the biggest fight of my career on a great card. Josh Taylor's undercard, great fighters on it as well, so this is something you'll tell your grandkids when you're older, so I'm going to cherish every moment of it. I'm going to put everything in the training camp, and trust me, there'll be fireworks on the night, and I really can't wait for it. I'm buzzing. Very
even matchup, which is going to be part of our card on BT Sports on the night. It's going to be shown in the United States as well on ESPN, and I'm sure that's going to shape up to be a very good fight indeed. Well, another undefeated fighter on the card, and for once, you've actually fought in Glasgow once before, haven't you, as a professional?
Yeah, I boxed, I think it was in Ravenscraig, the last fight in Scotland, yeah.
And of course came through as a winner, because you're undefeated now in 11 fights.
Yeah, I am.
And looking forward to fighting, I would imagine, in front of a lot of friends up here and a lot of Scottish support.
Of course, yeah. It'll be good to fight like in my home sweet home, and there's no place like home. I only live about 20 minutes away, and obviously I've got a lot of family here, and I've got a lot of friends, and it's time to shine, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? I'm ready to rock and roll.
What sort of progression are you looking for in the next year now? How close do you think you are to fighting for substantial titles?
Yeah, well, I've had 11 fights now, John, and all I need to do is just keep listening to me coach, Dominic Ingle, and my manager, Shelley Fingal, and I don't think I can go wrong. I just have to keep my head down, keep putting the graft in the gym, and it's the only way forward for me, to be fair. I just got to keep working hard and keep pushing forward, and titles will come. When they come, I'll be ready.
I was talking to Dominic the other morning, and he was saying just how much of a regard he's got for you. He likes your attitude as a fighter.
Yeah, listen, me and my coach Dom, we get on very, very well, to be honest. He spends a lot of time with me, and looks after me and takes care of me. Do you know what I mean? It's a great gym, the Ingle Gym in Sheffield. And I'm the youngest fighter he's got, and he believes in me, and obviously in myself. I believe in myself, and I've just got to keep pushing forward, don't I? Do you know what I mean? Well, I've got big dreams, and I'm ready to accomplish them.
How tough's it been, just moving away and living in Sheffield, leaving your family who have their roots up here now?
Mm-hmm.
How tough has it been?
Listen, I've boxed since I've been 9 years old. I've been all around the world. my mum and dad, when I was about 15, went over to Germany, and my dad was working over there, and I had to stay home with some of my family, but I've always been away, and it's been hard, man. I can always remember when I was younger, you feel like crying sometimes, do you know what I mean? And I love me, my family's very, very close, and obviously I miss them, but and when I went professional and I moved to Sheffield, it was all new to me. I was living by myself, and then I moved in with Liam Williams, and Kid Gallagher, I stayed with him as well. And since when I went to Sheffield, I've been looked after, do you know what I mean? I've been looked after, and there's always been someone that's been doing stuff for me or trying to help me, do you know what I mean? But I'm married now. I got married about 4 or 5 months ago. Got my woman with me now, John, and I'm a lot happier. I'm not by myself. I'm getting my washing washed. I'm not sleeping in the same underpants for 3 nights solid. And obviously, it's worked out for the good, like, do you know what I mean? I'm happy.
things are improving.
Do you know what I mean? She buys me fresh jammers from time to time. I've hit the jackpot.
We're in danger of going into too much information area.
Yeah.
But actually, from a point of view as a pro, though, when you look at your career so far,
Yeah.
how pleased are you with the way things have panned out to this point?
Yeah, listen, I'm very, very pleased. I've had 11 fights, like I said. I've won all of them up to now. And like I say, I've just got to keep listening. I said in an interview a minute ago, the day I don't listen to the people I've got around me is the day I'll never achieve what I've wanted to achieve. And I'm a massive believer, and I've only got good people around me, and that's all I need to do. Do you know what I mean?
Last point is, before we move on to Lee, is your weight.
Yeah.
Light heavy or super middle?
Super middleweight. Yeah, definitely. My next fight, I'll be working down to the super middleweight limit, and I'll be ready to rock and roll, John. I mean, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting down the weight. I'm looking forward to competing in the super middleweight division. I mean, in Britain, the super middleweight division's flying just now, and I'm ready to make my mark as soon as, yeah.
Do you think you reckon your power is more emphatic as a super middle than it would be as a light heavy?
100%. 100%, but listen, it's not all about power. Listen, everyone's got power, everyone can punch, man. Everyone every different way. It's these little men who's fighting each other at 8 stone, they're knocking each other out, do you know what I mean? We got them little gloves on, everyone can punch. I mean, I can, yeah, we can all punch, but it's all about boxing, man, isn't it? And enjoying it. I think that's the biggest part of it. We can all punch. I mean, these little men knocking each other sideways, and the little tiny little men, it's 7 or 8 stone, do you know what I mean? Bombing each other out. And yeah, I just believe in boxing ability, really enjoy what you're doing, do you know what I mean?
Well, we'll be looking forward to seeing you in action on May the 2nd, and
Yeah.
I'm sure all your friends up here as well will be delighted that they don't have to trek off down to London.
You can just imagine. Yeah, thank you.
Well, let's say hello next to Lee, sitting alongside me, who's going to be in action you're from Edinburgh, aren't you?
Yeah.
And Lightning calls himself, and had to come through a pretty tight one last time, a split decision against Kas Farouk. How happy were you with your performance?
First of all, it was a fantastic fight to be involved in. The whole of the UK were impressed with how good a fight it was, so it can only be encouraging to hear that from big names involved in boxing. A close fight. I feel like I had to dig very deep, which I did, and obviously I got it on a split decision. I feel like everyone's entitled to their opinion, which I can accept. If they had a couple of rounds either way, that's how I seen it. But these folk going on saying that a robbery and stuff, I don't agree with. But as I say, everyone's entitled to opinions. But it's something that I'm more than happy to put right. If I get that chance, we can meet again down the line, hopefully for something bigger at stake this time.
What does it mean to you to have the British and Commonwealth belts now at this point?
It means a lot, obviously. When I first turned professional, I didn't imagine I would be British and Commonwealth champion after 8 fights. So yeah, it's massive for me. I'm not finished yet though. I'm just getting started. I wanna have a big 2020 and push on and win more.
You've got this talented training group. I mean, how much does it help being a part of that? So we heard Sonny talking about your abilities earlier on. How much does it help you?
Yeah, no, it's good. Obviously, all the boys are bouncing off each other in the gym. We push each other on the runs. Everything we do, we're always competing, and that's where I feel like you'll get the best out of yourself. It was the same when, obviously, I used to train with Josh. We compete against each other, and that's when you definitely get the best out of yourself. There's no matter what anyone will say, I believe that you'll never push yourself as hard as you can if you're on your own. I feel like you'll get that extra 10% out of yourself if you've got guys like Sonny and the boys I've got in the gym around me, definitely. So it's something I definitely need.
What does it mean to you now to be on the same bill as something which is going to be big here in Glasgow, and to be on one of these undercard stars to somebody who you clearly respect in Josh? I mean, how much does that mean to you?
Oh, it means so much. Obviously, I started my career, building my career off of Josh. For my first 5 fights, I was on undercards, all his big shows, and trained alongside him, learned so much off of him. So I'm just grateful to have that opportunity again to be sharing the same card as him. Basically, just starting off where we left off and bringing big nights back to Scotland. And I'm going to grasp it, take this opportunity with both hands, and move on to bigger things in the year.
Going to hear from Josh and Ben in just a moment, but before we do that, just you as a fellow Scottish fighter, just if you can, put into words the pride, I suppose, that he brought to Scottish boxing with his last few fights, and particularly that last fight.
Well, to be honest, I think I'm sort of the best person to ask this question, because I've seen it firsthand how hard he's worked for it. I've been alongside him, I've done the training camps with him. I know what he puts his body through, and it's not nice, and it just shows you though, if you put the work in and you believe in yourself and you take risks like he has, you get these rewards. And I'm the exact same mindset I've learned off of Josh, and that's exactly my mentality for this game as well now, and that's why I became Commonwealth champion after 5 fights, and then British and Commonwealth champion after 8 fights, because we were willing to take risks, and if you don't take risks, you don't get these rewards, and that's why we're both in good positions. Especially Josh is unified champion after 16 fights, and I believe he will go on to be undisputed champion. And it's just obviously a privilege to be a part of his career, and I'm glad that we're back on the same balls together and bringing big nights back to Scotland, as I said.
You clearly look at him as a bit of an inspiration.
Yeah, definitely, most definitely. I've learned so much off of Josh, and been in the ring sparring with him and stuff, and not just that, he's a friend outside the ring as well, so we're good mates, and as I keep saying, I'm learning off him all the time, and I'll continue to do that.
Lovely to hear, and I would imagine you must be blushing slightly after that lot, aren't you, Josh?
Yeah, it's a lot of nice compliments there from the lads, so thanks for that. It's good to be spoken nicely about like that, you know. But yeah, it's good to be back here in Glasgow since the last fight, you know, kind of a homecoming fight since unifying the titles. I thought it would have been away to America. Now on the next fight with signing with Top Rank. But I'm delighted that I'm back here in Glasgow, and I get to have a sort of homecoming kind of fight for my home fans, and sort of treat my home friends and family to a home fight before I hopefully go stateside and chase the big fight. So yeah, I just I'm really excited. You know, it's a great card. You've got a stacked undercard, like you said. The talent on this card is at this table's brilliant. You know, like Sonny said, all the English lads and myself and Lee and the lads up here as well have all been on GB at one point, and obviously I know Donnelly as well from the world circuit and amateurs as well, boxed at a very high standard. So you've got amazing talent sitting at this table, and it's going to be a great night of boxing. So make sure you tune in. You're going to miss some real good fights. So yeah, I can't wait.
BT Sport and in America on ESPN, and tickets of course are available, and I'm sure huge crowds going to turn up. Just put into words what it's going to mean, Josh, to be out there in front of your Scottish fans and your friends.
Yeah, just that it's good to be back home. You know, that last fight, the huge fight with Progress was down in London. Still in the UK, but it was in London, and a lot of people that I knew of and wanted to come and see me couldn't quite afford the full trip of going down to London and booking hotels and tickets, and it was an expensive weekend for a lot of people, you know. So it's good to treat a lot of loyal fans and a lot of friends to another home fight, hopefully another good night. And obviously I believe I'm going to get the result. I believe I'm going to take care of business and get them out there quite handily. But you know, I've got to remain focused and get the job done.
Now, what do you know about Apinun Khongsong? Undefeated in 16 fights, but presumably you know a little bit more about him than that.
Yeah, 16 fights. I think 18 fights, 16 knockouts. To be honest, not too much more than that. To be honest, John. I saw a couple of fights of him on YouTube. He looks pretty tall. You know, stands tall. It's hard to sort of judge the quality of opponents he's been in against. There's not so great footage of him, but he's 18-0, 16 knockouts, and he looks like he carries a lot of power, to be honest. You know, he stands up tall, punches correctly through the target, and the videos I have seen, he's dropped all his opponents, so he looks like he carries power. So I'm going to have my full attention, you know, and make sure I'm switched on, because if I don't get this job done, that's my dreams and ambitions shattered, or certainly a huge speed bump in the way. You know,
It's got to be fairly horrendous after the run that you've had in winning that World Series title.
Yeah, it would be. It'd be dream shattering for me. You know, I still believe I'll get to the top and unify all the belts. But if I don't come through this, then it certainly puts it back. So I'm making sure I get the job done.
Now, one of the talking points, of course, is the change of trainer. Ben there alongside you, who is known as having trained, among others, Billy Joe Saunders, Tyson Fury, now Josh Taylor. It's not a bad resume, that one, is it? So how difficult was the decision to go with Ben to take?
It wasn't difficult at all, to be honest. Obviously, before I split with the McGregors, you know, I was thinking about leaving for a long time, and I kept seeing a lot of clips of him training with Billy Joe and Tyson, and the way he trained, the style he trained, the way the tactics they trained in sparring, I'd seen in the pad work and stuff different, and the way Billy Joe Saunders boxes with his hand speed, you know, his combinations, his feet work, his southpaw as well, similar very style to me. You know, I'm fast, I've got good feet work, good head movement, and you know, so I just thought it'd be the perfect combination. So as soon as we teamed up and had a couple of sessions, I knew my mind was made up straight away. So yeah, I'm happy with it, and we're smashing it in the gym already. We're flying already, so I can't wait till the 2nd of May to see what good work we've put in already in the short time we've had together.
Well, let's hear from Ben when the phone went, or whenever the suggestion finally came. How easy was that decision for you to say, oh yeah, I'll have a bit of that?
Yeah, of course, but taking somebody on that's had success and got the momentum behind the jump, it comes with a lot of pressure as well. So it was obviously Josh, a fantastic lad and an unbelievable fighter as well. So to be able to work with somebody with a talent and the accolades behind him as well is always good for a coach as well.
I know you have a very analytical mind as a fighting trainer, don't you? And you break down people's individual styles in sort of minute detail. Do you look at Josh for all his brilliance that he's shown us? Do you look at him and say, yeah, he's good, but I can help make him better?
Of course, there's always strengths and weaknesses in everybody's game, and the goal is always the same: is to make those strengths super strengths and to bring those weaknesses up to strengths. So, you know, of course, there's strengths and weaknesses in his game. He's a phenomenal fighter, and you know, we'll look to make him even better, of course. And
he's talked about getting to the States and proving himself sort of undisputed king of the division. Do you see that within his remit? Is that the immediate ambition?
Yeah, 100%. I don't see at all why that shouldn't be possible. I've got full faith in him, and I believe that he'll do it in good fashion as well.
Tell us about the guy who's going to be fighting on May the 2nd.
I think he's a very, very good fighter. I mean, obviously, when they're coming from that area of the world, you don't get to see too much of them, and it's often hard to be able to compare against the type of opponents that they've fought. But looking at him, and studying him, I believe that he's a very good fighter. He's got a big background of over 100 Muay Thai and amateur fights. I don't think the occasion will get to him. I think I believe that he's gone through a fighting school in Thailand. I think that he's been born and bred to do it. So he'll come to have a go, that's for sure.
And he can hit a bit.
Yeah, he can punch, but like Willie said, they can all punch.
So you've been with Tyson, you've been with Billy Joe Saunders, now with Josh. That's elite level fighters with whom you've been associated. How much does it really motivate you to want to achieve great things now with Josh?
Yeah, of course, you always want that. I'm passionate about what I do, so that's where the love comes from. The moment that I'm not passionate about it, I probably won't bother, because look at for example, with Tyson when he boxed on the weekend. The weekend before. What he's gone on to do, that's stuff dreams are made of. But more importantly, look at where he's come from in his life. These sorts of things is to see that success. It motivates me. I do it for the love of the sport, for the connection that I have with the fighters. And Josh is a good lad. We get along. He gets along with Willie Joe, and obviously I want to help him go on to achieve his dreams.
I'm not going to labour the point, but so far as the Tyson Fury fight's concerned, everybody knows the background and the fact that there was the change of trainer, and that must have been a source of considerable disappointment to not be there in the corner for what proved to be the greatest night of his career. But having said all that, as you talk about the problems he's come from and the way you've helped him overcome them, there must still have been a huge sense of pride and happiness that he did what he did.
Zero disappointment from me to not be there. The most important thing from me, hand on my heart, was for him to get the job done, because as a coach you have a career that goes on for many years. Each fighter has one career. So for him to be able to fulfill what he can do in his career, that's most important. Whether I play a big part, whether I play a small part, whether I'm there to put my face in the camera at the end of it or not. The most important thing for me is that for him to be victorious. And he's done that in spectacular fashion. So for me, I was overwhelmed. And the bottom line for any coach really is that the story of boxing, the real story of boxing, is about these guys. 100%, exactly my point. Lovely to hear from you, Ben. Great to see you back alongside Josh as well. It promises to be a terrific occasion, I think, on May the 2nd. You're going to be able to watch it on television with BT Sport or on ESPN in the United States. Better still though, why not get a ticket and be there on the night? Tickets are available at the SSE Arena, and it promises to be very special indeed. All the guys are going to be available for one-on-one interviews if you've not already had the chance to speak to them, and also one or two photographs now. Photographs, I'm sure, with Josh and Ben, and I think we'll probably do a nice civilised face-to-face with Stephen and Troy for the one real fascinating pick and fight, which has already been announced for the night. So thank you very much indeed for coming here today. We've had various problems getting here one way or another with public transport, but you've been here, you've seen what the lads have got to say, and we all now look forward to May the 2nd. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you.